Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports, man. Big vote. Big fight week. A lot going on. Everybody talking about her. That's every day. So those people who are like, hey, Hood, why don't you and all the content creators stop talking about Claressa? It's not going to happen, okay? Claressa is content gold. And she likes the attention, and she likes going viral, and she likes to make money off social media. So as long as she stays active on social media, content creators are going to stay active talking about Claressa. And even if she goes away, they're still going to talk about Claressa. So it is what it is at this point in time. But the biggest story, women have turned on Claressa Shields. And I'm not surprised. Now, everyone knows Hood Champion doesn't root for her downfall. Look, I'm not a female. So I know ladies can be a little bit emotional. Not all, some. I'm not. I really don't care. She's just entertaining to me. But I do know that Big Vote has turned a lot of people off, especially the ladies. And that's where she had most of her support coming from, especially the older women that she calls old, and even the elderly that she calls broke bums. These people were giving their last couple of dollars to support Big Vote. So for her to go and insult them just tells you that she's not in tune with who her real supporters were and who even now, who I think still are. But that being said, the confidence has become a brand problem. You know, Claressa at one point in time had something and that people would kill for. You know what I mean? Gold medals, part of American boxing history, sporting history. And she has something right now that many athletes would kill for. She has attention. She has attention. She got it. People know her name. They know her accomplishments because she reminds you daily. They know her personality. They know her rivalries. People certainly have opinions about her. You know what I'm saying? And that's very valuable in boxing. But there's a major difference between famous and being beloved. Claressa is not beloved. And that's where Shields' public persona becomes very fascinating. All right? Because it's the same personality that generates headlines, but it also makes some potential customers say, you know what? I'm trying my hardest to support this person, but I just can't do it. And that matters because boxing needs fans to do more than just watch. You want them to buy tickets, purchase streams or subscriptions, buy merchandise, follow you, defend the fighter online, recommend fights to friends, continue watching after their losses. You want them to like you. But see, a fighter doesn't necessarily need everyone to like her. But they do need people to care about what happens to her. The problem with Claressa is they don't like her, and most people don't care about what happens to her. She does have some that support her. You know what I'm saying? I got to be real. There are some that support her. But she lost a large portion of her fan base because of her attitude. Now, this thing about confidence and then connecting with fans. Claressa has every reason to be confident. She can fight. From a young girl to a pro, you can almost say she's been undefeated. Like she was a person put on this planet to fight. She wasn't put on here to dance salsa and merengue. She wasn't here to be an open heart surgeon. She wasn't here to be a school teacher in English, although she knows reading, she knows writing, she knows math. She wasn't here to do none of that shit. She was put on this planet to fight, and she can do that. You know, the gold medals, championships, undisputed distinctions, the resume, what she's done is imaginary, right? Doesn't matter if you feel it was orchestrated or she fought tomato cans. The bottom line is, if you don't know anything about Claressa and you just get the resume and you look at the black and white paper, black ink, you'll be blown away by what's on that resume. You know what I'm saying? The shit is real, okay? And I do think she should celebrate him. But that's where the problem begins when it comes to Big Vote. Because you want fans to perceive the message as, I'm great. Because people can give you that. But it's turned into Claressa coming out basically suggesting that, look, I'm better than y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's turned into. And those are psychologically different messages to fans. The first one kind of invites people to admire you. You know, it invites admiration. And then the second creates resentment. And that's what's happened here. It's one thing for her to say, look, I'm great. I put the work in. A resume speaks for itself. People can admire that. Yeah, she ain't lying. But when you out here, come out like, look, I'm better than y'all. I got money, y'all broke, y'all this. I'm more sexy, I'm more this, money. My poom poom does this. People are like, man, get your ass up out of here. You taking it to the stupid. So as far as her wanting to be a girl's girl, I just don't see that happening. That's a problem. Number one problem there, and I listen to the ladies, is because of her situation there with Papoose and the whole Remy thing. And just knowing that she knew who this guy was back in 2016. These content creators, boy, they will dig up some shit on you, won't they? And they've come out here and poke Claressa all up in the eyeball with her lies. So as far as her being a girl's girl, that will never happen. You see, the conversation gets real interesting when you start talking about that. So Claressa can want to dress up a kind of way and get her hair done and her makeup done and wear revealing clothing. Matter of fact, she's left nothing to the imagination because she's already showed us her yoo-hoo and showed us her tatas. I'm not making that shit up. She's done that. Very tacky. But she's done it. So it is what it is. But so she can never be a girl's girl, you know? And she needs to understand what that phrase means to the audience. I listen to the ladies every night. They'll tell you, man, being a girl's girl, a hood champion, that's not simply saying I support women. You got to demonstrate that through behavior towards women, even when you disagree. She got to be like a Layla Ali. And I'm like, well, that'll never happen. You see, if a female athlete repeatedly gets into conflicts with other women, attacks their appearance, questions their intelligence, discusses their relationships, or responds aggressively to criticism, some women may eventually conclude you don't like women. You like women who agree with you. Some have even come out here and said they think Claressa may like women. There are some that have said Claressa has had relationships with women. Look, I don't know what's going on right there. All I do know is when I listen to the ladies, they say a lot of things. But most of them have are in agreement that she don't really like women. She don't like anybody. She want to be better than everybody. And she wants to make people feel less than her. And I'll tell you this, we may all share a different status in life, but we have the same dignity. Claressa doesn't know that. Maybe because she didn't watch kung fu flicks and shit like I did as a kid. That's where I get that saying from watching, I don't know, praying mantis and grasshopper. You know, the motherfuckers flying through the air kicking. But that don't have nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Perception matters when we're talking about branding. You know what I'm saying? Now, I will say this. Women don't have to like your energy. And I want to make sure that this is one of the most important points that I want to talk about. There's a social phenomenon that happens frequently in female-to-female relationships. Energy matters. And I listen to the women on my live every night. I'm telling you. I sit there sometimes and I'll be like, time for me to shut up. Because the women, boy, they look at another woman and immediately think, I like her, I love her, oh, she's great, her personality. Where me, when I'm looking at a woman or a guy, her champion just doesn't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Nothing bothers me. The internet's the internet. I just focus on what's most important to me, and that's my little unit over here. Everything in my life is great. I just don't worry about nothing. But I watch the ladies, and I admire that. Sometimes they can make a read with the quickness, boy, and they be spot on. That's why during my lives, when the ladies talk, I shut up. Even if initially I'm disagreeing, I shut up to see where they're going. And 9 times out of 10, by the time we reach the destination, the final destination, I'm agreeing with them. That's why I never say nothing. I don't interrupt. Because at first, sometimes I'm like, what? And when they finish, I'm like, oh, okay. That's when you have the aha moment. But I'm telling you, women can immediately be like, yo, the energy coming off this person, I love that personality. Or they can be like, hood. Something about her rubs me the wrong way. They do that when they come to Claressa, when they come to other women that we're talking about, when they come to different callers, they do it. They just do it. And I sit back and I just, I just let it go in one ear and out the other. I listen, but I don't get caught up into it. But I just trip out that how women, the spidey senses get to tingling. They can pick up on some stuff. That's why, I tell you, I listen to the ladies. And Claressa should. That's why so many are speaking out against her and don't like her. Because they are like, At first, they're like, something about her ain't right. But then she started giving people reasons to really dislike her. She has a toxic personality. Now, understand this. I'm not saying there's necessarily a logical argument behind anything. I think sometimes it's simply interpersonal chemistry. Some women love outspoken women. Some women interpret outspoken behavior as confidence. Others interpret the exact same behavior as arrogance. Some admire confrontation. Others find it exhausting. That's why Shields can have passionate female supporters and passionate female critics. And it's just like content creators. Some are more from the dark side. They want to cuss, carry on, and make up lies and do whatever. You see it across all platforms, men, women, kids, all these damn social media personalities. It's crazy. Then you see some that people feel a bit more professional, more polished. It just depends on what you like. Now, I can tell you this. There's an emotional component involved with everything, especially fanship. Fans aren't robots. They don't calculate. You're talking about 18 wins plus championships plus Olympic medals equals automatic support. Negative. That's not how that works. There has to be an emotional relationship that develops with athletes. They ask themselves shit like, yo, do I like her? Do I respect her? Do I relate to her? Does she represent something I believe in? Do I enjoy watching her? Do I want her to succeed? You see, this is particularly important with personality driven athletes. And Shields is absolutely personality driven. When we have our lives, every night you hear people say, man, I'm trying to like her. Damn, I just can't. And even when you start to feel sorry for her, you think about something she's done. And even if it's not the Layla Ali Muhammad Ali thing, you think about her slapping Lisa or that thing at the Christmas gift giveaway. That was wild to turn those kids away. Everybody agrees that was bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So when every argument becomes content, like what Clarissa's doing, because obviously she makes money, it seemed to be that everybody on her team benefits. I just think that's a whole nother danger. Now, social media will reward the conflict. On social media, it's all about controversy. People making decent money just off of here being negative and being dumb. You know what I mean? Just being dumb. No intelligence at all. And people flock to those channels to just sit there and listen to the negativity. But it's shock. It's shock content, just like shock humor. I like Andrew Dice Clay. Most people can't listen to that dude. But as a young kid, we used to be listening to him laughing. Had his cassette, playing that shit on the tape player, outside in the street, laughing our ass off because of the shit he used to say. But I'm older now. I can't listen to shit like that. When I was younger, of course I listened to it. But that's what I'm getting at. Sometimes conflict and confrontation and drama gets rewarded. You know what I'm saying? And with Clarissa, she realized that. So she's always looking to argue with somebody. She knows that she's going to produce clicks, comments, shares, reaction videos, headlines, and everybody clipping her videos. Even take the whole video and repost it. You know what I mean? Even I'm guilty of doing that. You know what I'm saying? But that can make controversy very addictive, but there's a catch. The algorithm may reward the argument while the audience becomes exhausted by the person. That's a crucial distinction. The algorithm may reward the argument, but the audience becomes exhausted by the person. A viral controversy doesn't necessarily create a loyal fan. You know what I mean? It can create more of a spectator. People watch because they want to see what's going to happen next. That's where everybody is. But that doesn't mean that they'll buy a $100 ticket to support the fighter. And that's exactly what's going on right now. So this thing about, Clarissa thinking people are going to pay to watch her lose like they did Mayweather and other fighters. No, that's not what's happening here. And it makes for an interesting conversation, but I'm just telling you, there's a huge difference to I want to watch Clarissa fight and I want to watch her lose. Both are attention, but only one represents genuine fan support. And I don't think she has genuine fan support. You know, a villain can sell fights. In fact, villains can sell extremely well. But the business has to be able to convert hatred into paid attention. And more times than not, villains have to have a likable quality. She does not. And that's why Shield's personality isn't automatically bad for business or good for business. So the question is she becoming a compelling villain or simply becoming exhausting? And that's the line her team has to watch. And I think what they've concluded is she's become exhausting. That's why they have Zeus participating in this event on 15 August, Floyd Mayweather mentioning it. I think Gillian Wallow, I think Adrian Broner and Dean the Great, Shakir Stevenson, they have a lot of people who are coming out here last minute, and Charleston White, who are trying to say things about her to get people to come out there and support her. And that's what happens. Now, this thing about older women, let me tell you something. The older women, that demographic is a special demographic that deserves a lot of tender, loving care and admiration. And we should really appreciate and embrace that older audience, especially the ladies. Older women could potentially be an important audience for women's boxing because many of them understand the historical significance of women finally receiving greater opportunities in combat sports and just overall as women. Some of them come from the time where women weren't able to drink out of water fountains as white people, and others come where, when, irregardless of wage, they weren't getting the same wages, they weren't getting the same opportunities, they were expected to be in administrative roles. So it's not just a black thing, it's a woman thing at the end of the day, especially the older heads. So they may appreciate Shields' accomplishments and they may have wanted to see women receive the same respect and financial opportunities as men, but there comes a big problem. Accomplishment doesn't automatically create emotional loyalty. So if older viewers, let me show y'all something here. Let me stretch this out. Talk about the ladies, right? I just feel, hold on one second. I just dropped something. Here it is. Sorry about that. But I just feel, man, when it comes to these older women, uh, they really want to see women win, and they were rooting for Claressa Shields. But it doesn't mean that it's going to create emotional loyalty. If an older viewer perceives a fighter as constantly insulting other women, attacking critics, or creating unnecessary drama, she may simply decide, you know what, she's talented, but she's not somebody I want to support. She's just disappointed me. I've had women call into the live and cry. Like, no kidding. And when they cried, I was tripping, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, damn, you mean to tell me that Claressa's situation is affecting women like that? So I just think that's a valuable audience that Claressa is leaving on the table. And she probably shouldn't do it. You know what I mean? At all. She shouldn't do that at all. But hey, who am I? You know what I'm saying? Now, this thing about appearance. Claressa Shields out here talking about her appearance. She's sexy. She's beautiful. All this, her body, her this, all this crazy shit. I'll just say this. When you have a person responding to criticism about her appearance by attacking another person's appearance, the conversation becomes very personal. And once appearance becomes ammunition, the fighter can lose the moral high ground very quickly. You know what I'm saying? And you watch the audience, and I listen to them every night, and I talk to. They're like, "Yo, wait, you know, you don't want people judging your appearance, but you're willing to judge theirs." Claressa quick to talk shit about somebody, but she justifies what she's saying as, "Oh, I don't say nothing about nobody unless you say something about me. And if you come at me, I'm gonna go and give you 10 times worse than what you gave me." And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know someone could be as nasty as Claressa is. Claressa is wicked when she decides to open that mouth. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, that creates a hypocrisy narrative. So recent social media coverage has specifically highlighted backlash surrounding Shields' appearance-related comments and responses. There's this thing about the race issue. Let me tell you something. Not everybody who comes from poverty or the ghetto is ghetto. Some people who came from there, they've gone on to elevate and do better. They don't want to ever go back there. So when Clarissa's out here talking about, I'm doing this for black people and the black race and people from the ghetto and people from impoverished areas, most people are far from slow and know what she's doing. She's just out here trying to hustle. She doesn't genuinely care about anybody. She just care about trying to make money because she got people who she got to pay based on that deal that she has. You know what I'm saying? But she got to be careful, man, going forward because she's done so much damage. I don't even know if it can be repaired, but she's got to be careful, man. You out here attacking people's race and complexions. Those are serious claims, man, and should be tied to specific document statements, not generalized. And I'm telling you, man, I understand all that. And she has done that. She has done that, you know? And I think the lesson is very straightforward. Race-based or color-based insults can permanently damage trust. I see people out here now having a field day with that shit. They're making AI images of Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields light skin. And I'm like, I got a great sense of humor. So I laugh at most shit. But not even I was thinking, because I just don't be thinking about that, but I wouldn't even do that. But I could do it, and I could probably make it even funnier than the people are making. But boy, that shit had me laughing. But trust me, nobody would have made an image about Clarissa looking light skinned if she wouldn't be talking about your light skins, your red bones, and all that shit. She wouldn't be talking about it. And let me tell you something, Clarissa is not dark. You know what I'm saying? She brown skinned, man. Clarissa and I are about the same color. You know what I'm saying? Oh, she talking about she dark skinned. Get out of here. She is not dark skinned. But the bottom line is race based or color based insults can permanently damage trust, man. And regardless whether you're black, white, Latino, Asian, any other background, that's just bad medicine. Now, this thing about relationships, Clarissa talking about sex and a romantic relationship and papoose and public conversation about what she does in the bedroom and whether, when she's in training 6 weeks out, they can't have sex. Anyway, he can't penetrate her, what she was saying, but she has other ways to satisfy him, make sure he's all right. So who knows if she's taking it in the basement or if, he's upstairs and she's having a conversation with him. Nobody knows what's going on, but it turned a lot of people off. Now, look, I'll tell you, whatever we do in their bedroom, whatever. They want to get the freaky deaky popping off the rubber dub session, do your thing. But nobody want to hear about whether you taking it in the goddamn basement or someone upstairs, you having a conversation. No, nobody want to hear about that. Attic or basement, we don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Just keep that between yourself. But to put that out there and then want to come out here and judge other fighters, talking about what they may or may not have done in the past. Well, they're single. They could have done what they wanted. And the word on the street is they weren't doing it with a married man. So if there's a male who want to be with 35, 50 women in a month, a female want to be with 35 or 50 men in a month, they single, no one's married, they can do what they want. That's not as bad as someone being out here listening to the ladies. Now with me, everyone knows Hood Champion doesn't care, but the ladies like, you're doing something out in the open with a man who's still married, talking about marrying this man and everything else, fighting over this man, everything. We can't respect that. We can't respect that. And I'm going to tell you right now, when she started talking all this crap and carrying on the way she is, the conversation changed. It's not even about who's better at boxing. It's more like, what kind of person is Clarissa? Like, that's what the conversation is. That is exactly what it is. And that's a different battlefield. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with boxing ability. It's more like personal judgments. And those personal judgments are extremely difficult to reverse. So I'll just say this. I'm not even going to talk about children. We'll just leave kids out of it. But I'll tell you what. That stuff she did at that Christmas gift giveaway was wrong. The things she may have said about people's children is wrong. And this idea about her wanting to go out here and have a child with papoose, all I'll tell her is children are beautiful, children are a blessing. But just be careful. Because I don't think the internet is going to set boundaries if she were to have a child. You know what I'm saying? I think the internet would really, really attack that baby. And I don't want to see that for Clarissa. You know what I mean? Like, this is me talking. This ain't the Hood Champion guy. I just know what's coming. I already know. So she need to leave that shit alone. I really think about what she's doing. Because one thing for them to attack her. You know what I'm saying? But to go at the child, it's going to be brutal. And I don't want to see that. I get a kind of way when it comes to kids. You know what I'm saying? We don't do that. Only a fucking coward will sit there and talk about a child. People like that deserve to get fucking two in their head. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? This is me talking. This ain't Hood Champion. That's how I feel. Roll up on them and handle them. Simple. Children are off limits. Now, about Clarissa, beautiful, sexy, smart, successful. I'm all that in a bag of chips. Man, please. Okay. People say there's nothing wrong with believing that she's beautiful. Sexy ladies. She's intelligent, successful, desirable, talented, confident. Got that pum pum pudding, right? That's what she wants you to believe. But I'm going to tell you, that creates a huge branding problem. You see, self-love being perceived as requiring the humiliation of somebody else, that's a problem. And that's what's going on here. There's a huge difference. It's nothing wrong with me like, I love myself. But there's a problem saying I love myself because I'm better than all of y'all. Y'all wish y'all looked like this. Y'all wish y'all had this. Look here. Hold your horses. Stop taking it to the stupid. Go in there, eat your cinnamon toast crunch, and leave people the hell alone. Because we respect self-confidence, but we don't respect perceived superiority. And this thing about Claressa thinking she's out here superior to people. To that I say, in the most respectful way, big won't hold your horses and don't take it to the stupid. Now, as far as the bedroom, I ain't gonna say a whole lot about that because that ain't really my style. But to try to make sexuality part of her brand, especially in today's social media environment, I just think it's not going to help her sell any tickets, so why do it? You know what I'm saying? The conversation should be more about championships, technique, competition. All of a sudden now, look, we're talking about her relationship, sex, personal arguments, appearances, ex-wives, other women that her man was with. It's the shit that everybody talks about now. But she has a lot to do with that. So athletic accomplishments have become secondary. And I don't think that's what she wants. So it is what it is at this point in time. To me, just let the ring do the talking. Stop with all the other bull crap. But it's too late. It's too late. The women don't care. You know, she believes she has to argue with everybody every day. She's not just worried about her performance speaking for herself. And I don't think she'll ever reach the point where she feels she doesn't need to argue with everybody. I think she's always going to be like that. But if she were to ever come out and say it, I'm not arguing no more. I'm not being toxic. I'm going to think about my image. I think that would be powerful. Very, very powerful. Can she do it? I don't know. And I'll tell you this. Haters can help her. You know what I mean? A fighter with no personality can struggle to sell. A fighter people passionately dislike can become extremely marketable. So you just got to look. Some of the biggest stars are polarizing. You know what I mean? The whole thing was, I can't stand it, but I have to watch. But with Claressa, I think it's gone from I don't want anything to do with her. So we're going to find out this weekend just how successful she is and how many people who say they don't like her are going to pay to watch her. And how many people say they don't like her, they're not going to support her or pay anything. They go catch it on YouTube, or if they do watch it, on that Fire Stick or some free illegal stream. We'll know. Now, Kay Scott, her fight chances in the conversation. Listen, this is an important fight here. Shields can talk, critics can talk, fans can argue, social media can explode. But when that bell rings, all the outside noise disappears. If Shields dominates Scott, she reminds everyone why she's one of the greatest fighters of her generation, but also they're going to look at it as a fight she was supposed to win. But if Scott beats her, the entire conversation changes. Every controversy becomes background noise to the biggest story. GOAT lost. And that's what it's going to be. And that's why some people who don't necessarily hate Shields, they still be rooting for the upset. There's a lot of people rooting for Claressa to lose. They want her to get humbled. Will it happen this weekend? I don't know. We'll find out. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans on 7 continents. I don't think Claressa has a boxing problem. I think she has a brand perception challenge. She's gonna be remembered forever. But what does she want people to think about her when she's gone? One of the greatest fighters, or the fighter who's always into it with somebody? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. The story's not written yet, but it's not looking good. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.